Wish is the new animated film from Disney. This is a movie that I've been seeing trailers and promotions for a long time. In the theater, I would always see the 100 years in the making, and I was wondering, okay, what is this movie? What is it about? Is it good? And I finally got to see it. I always thought, just based on the trailers, the animation in this is pretty odd. It's a mix of 2D and 3D animation, and it kind of reminded me of the Happily Never After movies. I don't know if you guys even remember that, but back in 2006, there were some really weird direct-to-DVD looking movies, but it came out in the theater. Wish also came out in the theater and looks a little odd, but I do think, the intentions here are cute. The movie has stars Ariana DeBose. She voices Asha, the main protagonist, a 17-year-old girl, and Chris Pine voices King Magnifico, who is the king of this kingdom of Rosas, this magical kingdom where apparently everyone can get their wishes granted if the king lets you grant them. And it's just really a very strange movie, very bland. I think if you have young kids, they'll definitely enjoy it. It's very much a fun, sweet movie. It isn't like it's scary or, kids can't handle it. But I think everyone deserves better. Like I said, if you have a 4-year-old who doesn't need a ton of conflict, sure, put the movie on, that's fine. But, Disney has... This movie even opened with a short for Once Upon a Studio, showing, all the 100 years of movies Disney made. And they're really proud of all their works. They show Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and Cinderella and everything. And it's just very, very sweet. But I don't think Wish is going to join the ranks of those movies, of those classics. It's not as great. It's not as original. Even the music in this is very simple. And this is only 85 minutes. Disney's made short movies before, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about this movie that feels so neutered. It's so dulled down to the bone. And I think, it follows that typical formula that Disney always follows with talking animals, a likable protagonist who, she's like a typical Disney princess Asha, but I don't see how she's even a princess, honestly. And then there's King Magnifico. He is one of the worst characters, but I'm going to get into it all now. Really, I think one of the worst parts about this film is none of the characters have any agency, no motivation. I was kind of wondering the whole movie, why should we care about these characters? I'm glad they didn't open with the typical parents being killed like they did in Frozen. You don't need that every movie. But I think with this film, a huge issue is just the lack of mythology. We're meant to believe that this movie takes place in the Kingdom of Roses, where wishes can be granted, but they don't give us any fucking backstory about the wishes. You see, we're introduced like with one of those storybook openings like Beauty and the Beast, where they say, once upon a time there was a king, King Magnifico. He studied tirelessly so he could learn magic. And that's it. That's it, guys. They don't really explain why he wanted to learn magic, why he wanted to learn about wishes, or, what his motivation is for holding people's wishes. Then you meet Asha, who is this 17-year-old girl, and she lives in this kingdom, and she says her whole life she just wants to be able to make a wish, go to the king in his castle and have a wish granted. That's what everyone wants, and her goal is to be his apprentice, and maybe she can get a wish granted. She doesn't even want a wish granted for her, though. She wants her grandpa's wish granted, Sabino or something. I don't even know. He's some old man, and I think it's her grandpa. But it's just funny because she's just this like innocent girl who's like, oh, I don't need my own wish, I'll just have my grandpa's wish granted or whatever. But that's fine. But honestly, I wish they gave this girl more agency. Why does she want this? Why does she even want to work for the king? Why does she care about the wishes? They just don't explain any of that, and it just feels so dumb. Like, why should we care about her? Another thing is King Magnifico. I really just didn't understand his motive for being a villain. What's his agency there? Another thing that's so weird, about 20 minutes into this movie, after Asha goes to his castle and she says, can you grant this wish? And he just goes, no. And you're just like, okay, but why? And the movie doesn't really explain that. He just says, these wishes are mine, and, they're only mine. But why, bro? Why are you a Stalinist sorcerer? Like, the movie doesn't explain that, and it totally takes away. And then on top of that, this is like, it just combines into what makes it so bad. Like, I actually like some of the songs, especially the main Wish song that Ariana DeBose sings. She's great, and the song is actually very good. But then there's, like, the Chris Pine catchy villain song, and it just annoys me now seeing... I even read an interview with the director where she's talking about how they wanted to make a classic villain song, but I just feel that you don't understand why he's the villain, so none of the songs really work. Like, you have this whole song, This Is the Thanks I Get, catchy, yeah, I enjoyed it, where Chris Pine's singing about, why people don't like him in his kingdom, but not only do some of the lyrics in the song just not make sense, there's a bit about not charging people and then also how he doesn't charge them rent. Like the same line is repeated twice in different contexts. It's weird. But just there's no real reason why this guy's a villain. And honestly, it completely just pulls apart the movie. On top of the fact that it's just very, shallow. Even Asha's friends. There are characters in this movie who are introduced. Dahlia, like Simon. Just these random characters whose only purpose, guys, is to be a plot device. Like, they only introduce this one guy just so later in the movie he can be manipulated by the villain, and then they turn him back, and he can just be like, oh, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, sorry, guys, I listened to the villain. I was stupid. It's just so rote, so cliche. You've seen this before. The talking animals, yeah, check, they have it. It's like the Disney cliche checklist they have. They even have the handsome sus villain who you kind of always knew was going to be the villain. I just think that this movie could have been much better. Maybe if they just gave you a backstory to care about Magnifico or Asha, it would make sense. It's just, at the moment, why do any of these characters, why do I need to care about them? Why do I need to follow this story? On top of that, just the idea of wishing leaves so much to be desired. It's funny, I even feel like Wonder Woman 1984 did a better job at, like, explaining the dangers of wishing. Seriously, Pedro Pascal in that movie is the villain. Like, I'm just thinking about it now, but it did a better job. And also Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. I mean, they're uncomparable. I really think that was a much better film. But yeah, Wish is just, it's really nothing. And it's kind of sad that this is, like, a big movie people are going to go see. It reminds me of The Marvels, which also just came out, and doesn't have a lot of hype for it. People aren't really that excited. It's another Disney movie that it just kind of shows you if you just follow a formula, it really doesn't work. You need to build on that. You need to give your characters more depth and backstory. You need to do more than just make a main character who can sing some good songs and a cute talking goat or whatever. Just, you need more. And this movie proves that. So let me know what you guys think of Wish. If you didn't like it, if you liked it, well, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching.